Well, joining me now is Dmitry Suslov, a senior lecturer at the Higher School of Economics University in Moscow. He specializes in Russian foreign and defense policy. Dmitry, thank you so much for coming on the program, and thank you very much for staying up so late. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Hello.
Let's start with what the Kremlin says almost every day. They're saying that they're not planning an invasion of Ukraine, despite all those satellite pictures of troops on the border. Frankly, no one in the West believes them.
Well, I think that there is a crucial difference between the pictures on the border and the real intention to invade. You know, the troops on the border is nothing else, in my opinion, than an instrument to keep tension, which in its return results in already crucial negotiations and progress on those negotiations. So the purpose of the concentration of troops is rather to compel the United States and NATO into serious negotiations, into serious progress on arms control, implementation of the Minsk agreements, and the fundamental principles of the European security, and we already see progress there. But I do not think that Russia will really cross the line in real invasion of Ukraine. Although I do believe that the troops will continue to stay and continue to move along the Ukrainian border unless Russia gets at least the majority of what it demands.
Okay, but I wonder if all those pictures of troops are also slightly counterproductive. Yes, on one hand, Moscow is talking to Washington and to others, but on the other hand, you've got countries like Finland and Sweden that hadn't really had a debate about joining NATO, now wanting to join NATO. You've got the British government saying they want to send more troops to NATO's Eastern European partners. It's become a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, we see it differently. You know, as for the increase of the number of troops in the Central and Eastern European countries, it will happen only if Russia invades Ukraine, which I think will not happen. The same with American troops in countries like Poland and the Baltic states and Romania. The discourse about Finland and Sweden joining NATO has been there for years, at least since 2008, the Russian-Georgian conflict and the overall aggravation of the Russia-West relations. I do not think that that will happen also in the observable future. But at the same time, already now, we have obtained something that was completely off the table just several months ago. You know, several months ago, the United States and NATO were not ready to discuss medium and intermediate range missiles in Europe. Now they want to do it. Several months ago, NATO was not ready at all to discuss the risk reduction mechanisms, the confliction mechanisms with Russia. Now the NATO Secretary General claims that NATO wants to put those issues on the table. And now we also observe the United States, France and Germany making concrete steps and applying concrete pressure on Ukraine in terms of implementation of the Minsk agreements instead of rewriting them.
But Dmitry, if all these troops are really there to kind of create, a discussion, can you reassure the people of Kiev who are getting busy in their bunkers, and practicing how to use guns, that there won't be a Russian invasion, that their capital will be spared?
Well, I do not work as the Russian president, so it would be difficult for me to assure people. As a foreign policy analyst, I do not see any rationale and prudency for Russia to invade Ukraine, because it will be completely counterproductive for the demands, for the purposes of Russian foreign policy. If Russia invades Ukraine, the scale of Western assistance, including military assistance and military cooperation with Ukraine, will increase, not decrease. Ukraine will consolidate even further as an anti-Russian country, and the question of NATO enlargement will not be put off the table. So it will be counterproductive.
Okay, got to leave it there. Dmitry Suslov, thank you very much indeed for coming to us from Moscow.